Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of The Drop-In. I am Enzo. Joining me, of course, is Mr. Boom Gonzalez. We are representing the collective. That's Boy Basket, Soul Movement, Kick Spotting, and Boom. You know, if for those of you that aren't familiar with The Drop-In yet, of course, this is just the second episode. We catch up with different personalities from different industries, and we just catch up. We ask them what's up. We ask them what's going on in their world, in their sphere.
We share stories. I hope they enjoyed our storyteller, the first episode, Elliot and Norio. Now we move on to a big story also that has happened not too recently, and which concerns everybody. Technically, in my opinion, whether you're directly involved or as a fan, we're talking about the UAAP cancellation this time, which is a big story. And our storyteller for today to tell us, what's up officially is, of course, our executive director. I always call him Com. Because wala na, pag nasimulan mo ng commissioner, com talaga. Attorney
no problem.
Hello, attorney.
Oh. Hello, Boom, and hi, Enzo. What do I say? I'm dropping in today?
Yeah,
we're dropping in.
We're dropping in.
Yeah.
We're dropping in.
Yeah, we're dropping in.
First of all, we love the background.
Yes.
Oh,
the
I just have to be around. Oh, yeah, thank you. Shout out to, of course, the UAP. We're going to talk about it a lot today, yeah.
Yes, I know. Okay, I know you've been very busy. You said you're actually very busy working from home during this quarantine period. Before we get to the topic of the cancellation, let's first establish to everybody listening and watching, Enzo, that whatever happened, this whole cancellation thing, and even the speeding up of the basketball season last time, this is the right thing to do. Okay, this is a conversation not to question anything. We just want to establish from the very start that was the right thing to do. We're not here to make it controversial and question that. Obviously, all over the world, everything is stopped, especially in terms of sports. So, yun ang baseline ng ating conversation muna. Tama yung ating ginawa. It's for the greater good of everybody else. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, attorney, let's talk about that sped up season. I personally enjoyed it from a coverage standpoint. What was the consensus when you made the evaluation ready, your postscript with the board, with you have your ear to the ground with the students and athletes? How was it received, and is it something that they're looking to doing again? Maybe not exactly, but maybe compressed a little or just a tweak in terms of the schedule?
Yeah, here's the thing, Boom. No? I'm not really sure whether there's really a consensus with regard to the result. No? But what I was sure of, initially, there were a lot of resistance. Ang consensus nun, parang it's too short. No? But I'm happy. What I can say is that after all is said and done, like parang everybody appreciate, or at least maybe 50-50. Some were actually saying na parang gumanda. It's actually ideal. And with that said, ang masasabi ko lang, at least we're open. It would now be, I don't know whether it will be repeated, but at least now it's an option. No, it's an option that we can really factor in if needed, if need be, no? Whether there's a crisis, whether we have to adjust to the SEA Games or for whatever national interest. So yun lang, bumukas yung isipan ng mundo that there's actually options na pwede natin i-pursue if need be. Yung we have to be dynamic I mean, hindi porke ito yung nakasanayan, ganito na lang tayo. We really have to be responsive to the times. And as this recent crisis have shown, we really have to be, mabilis dapat tayo mag-respond.
And it's good that you brought that up, attorney, that you have to be able to change with the times.
Yeah.
Can you mention some of the other options that were laid out, some of the alternatives that were there?
I think wala namang ibang option talaga. No? We really wanted the double round robin. No? Ang naging concern lang, if I may, some coaches really were had reservations para kasi we have this unwritten rule about the so-called at least 2 days rest. No? And tama din naman. No? However, if you really look at it in the other side naman, if we want to prepare these players as well as coaches for international play, di ba pag FIBA, po kanyan, araw-araw yun So there's no recovery. So if at all, yung season 82 was a test of sino ang pinakamagaling maka-adjust with regard to the adjustment of the schedule. So yun yung, at that point, I think for now, double round will stay. Whether it will be shortened or compressed, yun lang naman. And I think yun nga, mukhang open and in fact, we might see another kind of format next year, no?
You never know.
You never know.
You never know. Let's get to the cancellation, the story of the cancellation for the second semester. Affected would be volleyball, football, baseball, softball, athletics, lawn tennis, and 3x3 basketball. Now, first, obviously, it was the postponement then eventually the cancellation. Can you walk us through the process of how did you come up with the decision? Who was involved in the decision-making process? And what were the things that were talked about in terms of alternatives, if there was any?
Well, ganito lang, no? I just want everyone to understand. Of course, running a league is no joke. You know this, no? It's tough, but we love it, so we're there, no? But yung making a call to make it stop is actually even tougher. So it was really a painful decision. Ang hirap, no? Sa totoo lang, you and I wanted it to push through. All right, so.
Sure.
Yeah. So yung pinaka last cancellation was actually quite easy, you know, if you're talking about the April 7 cancellation, because we laid down conditions earlier already na classes must resume, no? By parang March 14, we released an earlier memo that classes must resume by April 14, and the earliest we could start, the third condition was May 1. Why? Because obviously the teams need to get back in condition. All right? So obviously, as things turned out, na-extend yung ECQ. So pinadali na yung decision namin eh. So yun yung pinakamadali. What was actually tougher was the first postponement. If you recall, we had a press con.
Right.
And the very next day, ni-reset namin. So, kinancel muna namin. Why? Because there were, while we're doing the press con, bigla na lang nagpasukan talaga yung the latest of which was a CHED memorandum. So, people have to understand that we are also bound by the national directives, so by Philippine law, as well as the science behind it. So we have to consult our the experts on this and the lead governmental agencies. So at that point, sabi muna nila na hanggat hindi in place yung mga safeguards, itigil muna. So that's why we decided to cancel. All right. So when we coordinated, and then finally, if you recall, there was the agencies, so DOH, DOT, and DILG, sabi naman nila it's safe to conduct mass gatherings basta sa safeguards are in place. So we made sure that everything's there, alcohol, hand sanitizers, thermal scanners, thermometer, just to make sure well, at that point, no, I thought na enough yun. But again, we based it with regard to these governmental advisories. So nung may clearance na kami, so we proceeded and we opened on March 3. All right? And then, yun na nga, nagsunod-sunod na yun. Nagkaroon na ng Code Red, State of Public Health Emergency, and then classes were suspended. And when classes are suspended, you know that apektado rin ng UAAP games, right? So, yun na nga yun. That led to the first closed-door event ng finals ng juniors basketball.
Right.
And then eventually, the community quarantine came out. So yun yung, wala na tayong magagawa doon. Doon dumali yung trabaho namin because sabi na ng presidente natin, alam ka naman sumaway pa tayo. But yun lang, it was a painful decision. I mean, ako lang gusto ko siyang matuloy. Totoo, I'm sure all of you would agree,
yes,
no?
Of course, yeah.
And it's not as easy as putting it back together again. Oh, next week, tira na tayo. And I think that's what some other people don't understand, which you clarified because there were certain dates that had to be met.
No, here's the thing kasi boom, it's so easy to resume again. The bigger question to answer is, could we finish it? Diba? Kasi kung hindi mo rin lang kayang tapusin, parang urong-sulong eh. So mabuti pa, ito na yung condition namin. Having not met, may terminal date kami which is April 14. Hindi pa na-meet, tama na. Pahinga na muna natin to. Let's lose this battle in order to win the war. So to speak, no?
You mentioned earlier, no, that syempre if school is canceled, obviously apektado yung UAAP, and a lot of people tend to forget that these kids are students before they're athletes.
Oh, thank you for that. Oh, super. I really want to emphasize on that, no? Kasi of course we monitor the international events, no? But of course, ang mga nagiging peg natin would be the NBA, Major League Baseball, etc., the FIBA Cup, no? Sila nagka-cancel kami, hindi. But iba pa yung standards sa amin. These are student athletes. And may I dare emphasize, as a lawyer, the schools actually exercise substitute parental authority over these kids. Pinagkatiwala sa mga eskwelahan yan eh. So our standard should really be, a lot higher, much higher. These are not professionals, no? Na I mean, if I may be allowed to say, hindi naman to parang manok na isasabong mo lang dyan for our enjoyment. Ng mga bata, ito mga anak natin ito mga to. No? So, that's higher standards. And please, students ito before they're actually athletes. And even in school, no? Sabi nga nila, pati opening school might be affected. And we all know that we love sports. You and I love sports, but in a bigger picture, it really is. It should take a backseat there, and we have to accept it. No, I mean, even us people in the sports and this industry know this.
Absolutely.
Right?
Okay, attorney, you were talking about the bigger picture, no? And speaking of the bigger picture, it's not just the athletes and us broadcasters and all of that. A lot of people work around the league, are employed by the league. What happens to them, and how do we address that little concern?
Well, yeah, yun na nga eh. For some people, they just consume it as mere entertainment, enjoyment, no, distraction, inspiration. These are good things. There's nothing wrong with that. But for some people, yun na nga, it means a livelihood. So it's really a tough choice also. Kaya like I said, I also gusto ko itong matuloy, not only because I love sports, because a lot of people depend on it also. But you really have to weigh things because yun na nga, it's entertainment for some, it's livelihood for some. But in this case, I've never seen anything like this. No? A bug can actually do this. No, I think it's a bigger responsibility that we have. Nabanggit ko kanina yung responsibility natin towards student athletes. But bigger picture, parang we have bigger responsibility to humanity. People are actually, if you follow the disaster in Italy, people are actually pointing to a game, February 19, between Atalanta and Spanish Valencia, which actually sped up or parang na-turbo boost daw yung, it was a biological bomb. No? Yun ang banggit nila eh. That actually, yeah, that single event, no, nag super spread. The turbos, that's the one event na they can all point to, and it's recklessness eh. So pati kami ganon, bigger picture na. It's not just the student athletes. For all we know, baka malalakas yung mga batang yan eh. Pero tayo yung nagkakalap. No? Yun yung bigger picture.
And hopefully, obviously, everybody wants everything to normalize para jobs also come back. Yes, attorney, you wanted to say?
No, I just wanted to say na nakakatuwa lang because I think I read an article also. And UAAP athlete ito, I think it's a lady booter of football, na sabi niya, iba na rin mag-isip eh. Sabi niya, na last playing year niya, masakit sa akin, but it's actually for the safety of everyone. Not just for health, ha. She knows kasi na yun na nga, you might be the one spreading it. So, nakakatuwa. Meron din namang tao talaga na nakikita yung bigger picture.
Well, glad that you mentioned that, attorney, because me and Zoe and Mark and Joey, we were all talking about obviously the biggest question, and I know
oh my God.
you probably won't be able to answer it right now because I mean, how you can't resolve something like this at this time,
right?
But I mean, just in passing, what has been discussed by you and the board in terms of eligibility? What are what are, let's say, the leeways that can be given? And also, I'm not just talking about the last year players. So, syempre, apektado rin dyan yung second year players, third year players, and incoming rookies, and all of that. How do you reconcile that? And I know there's no resolution on that yet. It's a topic that you have to really talk about for a very long time. But in passing, what are your thoughts on it, attorney?
Okay, Enzo, pwede bang ma-disconnect ulit dito? Tough question.
Hot seat ka na ho, hot seat na.
No, this I can say. No, tama si Boom, it hasn't really resolved now. But the thing is, we have time naman, the luxury of time. It's really very complicated. But this I can assure you, as early as February, wala pang COVID, when we're still dealing with, well, the death of Kobe is one. But remember, there was Taal.
Right.
Remember, there was Taal.
Right.
Yep,
and we were already thinking of, thinking of the possibility na masususpend ng season 82 because of Taal. No? So, yun pa lang. So, doon pa lang na-float na, ano mangyayari dito sa mga players na hindi makakapaglaro. Okay? So, I don't think we will have a problem. No? Napag-usapan ng passing. I don't think we will have a problem. I think it's universally accepted that kung hindi natuloy, it's intellectually respectable. Parang if hindi natuloy, don't count it as a playing year. No? Parang, I think the US has done it, US NCAA, the Philippine NCAA has adopted it. The bigger question to be resolved, and which I will not answer, otherwise ikakat ko na to, is whether or not, the other requirements have to be met.
Of course.
Particular, yung age. Okay?
Of course.
Yan yung pagdedebatihan ng mabigat.
Is there a date already set for you guys to talk about it, or at least start to talk about it, or you're waiting for everything to blow over first in terms of yung mga pangyayari natin sa COVID-19, attorney?
Well, we have been discussing it already, like I said, as early as February, March. The latest of which, nag-Zoom meeting na rin ng, we have to be responsive, so nag-Zoom meeting na rin ng board last week. This week, early this week, Tuesday. So na-discuss na, but no formal resolution yet. So I really cannot go further than that.
Problem.
But it is being discussed, and I assure you na with all the collective minds of these people, we will come up with a solution that will be acceptable for everyone.
You mentioned the solution. You know, we're all trying to think of a solution for what everyone's calling the new normal. You know, we all have to face it. Every industry is going to be changed. So, Attorney, can you talk to us about how sports is going to be moving forward? Will there still be crowded arenas? Will there still, or are you considering doing live streaming as a staple? I know you're already doing it, but will that be the main way we consume sports moving forward?
You know what? Yun ang nakakatakot eh. Parang I think sport is one of the most hard hit, no? Parang we were really caught flat-footed, no, when it comes to this issue. I say that because even if we talk about the so-called closed door arenas, no, or just air it or broadcast lang, we made a study already on how many people are required to be there. At any one point kasi, in any playing date, no, parang there's anywhere between 300 to 500 people pa rin. Ang dami pa rin nun eh. People don't see that. Yung bouncers, actually yung team pa lang 50 na yan eh, with all their assistant to the assistant to the assistant to their assistant. Diba? So,
si attorney, ang daming assistant eh.
Well, yeah. So, you know, before we go to MOA, for instance, si Bumbat saka ako, we have to be quarantined, no? All those people coming in to be authorized, kailangan ba kaming 14-day quarantine before we enter there? And then after that game, what do we do? I don't think we can go home, no? So, I think, I'm not, but I think to really ensure, I think yung vaccine should already be there and most of the population must have been already vaccinated or immunized. Otherwise, mahirap eh. Sad to say, the sports, I really don't know. Kasi mga meetings natin like this, kaka-adjust na tayo eh. But how about basketball? Paano ba yun? Wala nang depensa? How's it gonna be?
Right.
I really don't know.
Well, yes, there are a lot of things that obviously have to be resolved first before you or anybody can answer these questions. But before we let you go, Attorney, the reason why we're doing this also is we wanted you to tell the story in behalf of the UAP board or the UAP in general, because all we have is a press release or an official statement. So it's also nice that we can clarify certain things para not only for the athletes but also for the fans that there are a lot of things to be considered for this. So is there anything else that you want to put out there for all the fans, please?
Wala, yun lang. We just beg for, we're actually, ito namang mga negative things that we hear sometimes. It's also flattering because the UAP has really become so big that people actually have a sense of ownership over it already. So, nakakatuwa din, sa totoo lang, no? Pero sometimes na masakit, no? Pagka may mga narinig ang mga negative. But, yun lang, no? Just the assurance, no? That the UAP board is a living board, no? And we try to really come up with, when we meet, no? It's not as if para kami nagda-darts lang na, ano ba maganda? O mag-darts muna tayo. And I think naman in recent years, you have seen the change, no? I think that in years past, makikita mo talaga literally yung kulay lumalabas. But right now, I think, by the collective, I think nag-iba na rin yung kultura. It's really for the betterment of the league as a whole as opposed to pushing your own agenda. Yun lang naman. So I thank the fans for their patience and continued understanding. So yun lang. Just be prepared because we don't know what's gonna happen. Only the virus can tell us what will happen.
Oh, the science will dictate. So dasal-dasal lang talaga tayo. So nagkwentuhan kami ni attorney at sabi niya kahit na ngayon na nasa bahay siya, napipilitan pa rin siya magsapatos every now and then dahil kailangan niya suotin.
We gotta talk about the shoes. We have to talk about the shoes.
Wala naman akong hilig sa sapatos, no? Hindi naman masyado.
Are you wearing anything right now?
Oh, yeah. I guess, tanggalin natin, ha? I guess everybody's excited for Monday, right? So,
Nice
So
play.
I still have also the postcard, the last
Oh
shot.
my gosh.
So
Shot.
yeah, are you excited? You should be excited for Monday. Manonood ba kayo?
Yeah, we're totally
Yeah.
psyched. We're psyched for that, and we're
Yeah.
psyched for the return of the UAP, whenever that will be.
Yeah.
And
Whenever
if it
that
does
will be.
return,
Yeah.
yeah, and when it returns, it will be a better league, and for
Yeah,
sure
it
will
will be. Yeah, for
big.
sure. Yeah.
So, attorney, thank you so much for joining us. I know, as you mentioned,
No,
you know,
thank
you're
you.
busier than ever. We appreciate your, you
Yeah.
know, your honesty, being clear with us, and it was great to get your insight.
Once again, thank you to Attorney Rebo Saguisag, speaking on behalf of the UAAP, and he's our storyteller for the second episode of the Drop-In with the Collective. So, on behalf of Buhay Basket, Enzo right there, and of course Martin from Soul Movement, and Joey of Kick Spotting, I'm Boone Gonzalez. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel and our Instagram account. Everything's underneath here on the screens, and we'll see you for more of the Drop-In from the Collective.